136th contact. Tuesday, October 14th, 1980, 11:41 p.m. Billy says, I am tremendously glad that you came. Semyaza says, last week, we did not have enough time, I know. You still wanted to discuss some things with me. Now is the time. Billy says, it concerns our quite precarious financial situation. I wanted to ask you in this connection whether or not my idea is a good one, which is that we look for work that we can perform ourselves at home so that we do not only have to work abroad. Semyaza says, certainly, the idea is of good value, but it might not be able to be realized as quickly as what is, indeed, necessary for you. Billy says, and why not? Semyaza says, are you yourself aware of the full consequences of your serious financial situation? Billy says, recently, I handed you a list with the request that you would look this over and then give us the appropriate advice. Semyaza says, we have surely already done this. And my advice that was given last week concerning these interests corresponded to our detailed examination of the facts. Billy says, yes, and? Semyaza says, are you really not aware of all of the consequences? Billy says, in recent months, I have no longer occupied myself with the financial situation. I only did this last week because there were bills to pay, for which no money was available. Semyaza says, and, of course, you've paid them back with funds that you've borrowed, as I know. It is high time that the group members remove Elsai from the financial sector and that you learn to take over this matter. Billy says, I see that you have already contemplated this again. Then now you must know this well. Semyaza says, it is not right how you act. You the one who, in every respect, does the most important and comprehensive and rigorous work, and furthermore, you have accumulated a financial debt on your behalf, just so that you can keep everyone who would be responsible for the building of the center and all things from sinking. This is in no way right and is very regrettable. As we have calculated, today, a debt rests upon you which lies on the border of 90,30 francs. And all this for expenses that must basically go to the expense of the group members, who also have a large financial debt to be repaid themselves, together with ongoing expenses. Billy says, we are neither your financial geniuses nor rich. Semyaza says, nevertheless, the budget should have been led differently before it came as far as it stands today. Everything can now only be saved by a radical measure, which must also begin already in the month of November. If this date is not kept, then it will still take, at the latest, 6 months before the collapse finally becomes unavoidable, because the debt repayment rates will rise immeasurably for you. Already in the month of November, you must apply a monthly average of around 7,500 francs towards the necessary payments of the debt repayments. This amount, however, will unstoppably increase each additional month for you if you cannot collect it, whereby the amount mentioned is to be paid monthly for about 6 years. Still, you will be able to make this payment, however, it represents the outermost limit of your capabilities if our advice concerning the work is followed, as I explained last week. In addition to this, you are to be concerned with procuring work, including any that can be performed at the center during any free minutes, otherwise, the required amount will not be reached. In addition to all of this, it is necessary that you finally take the financial management into your own hands and regulate everything in the best manner. This is the only way that you can be saved from this serious situation and overcome the difficulties. You only have about 3 weeks of time to begin the necessary financing in order to be able to regulate everything and lead it to success. This means that you need to take all of the financing away from Elsie because she does not understand anything about this but only manages the debt in a thoughtless manner. Billy says okay, a counter-speech would probably be senseless. Nevertheless, I would like to say that the accounting should be led further by Evi under my control, while Jacobus keeps his office as treasurer. That would already help me tremendously. Semyaza says nothing is to be objected if you maintain control over this. What you absolutely still have to do, however, is this: sit out tomorrow or the following day and gather all data and facts, in order, then, to prepare an exact account with the budget plan and the payback possibilities. Then, submit to me your exact plan, and I will then get together with a friend for advice if necessary, one who is concerned with such earthly matters. Billy says, and where should I find this friend, then? Semyaza says, this concerns a friend on my end, one from our own ranks. Billy says, oh so, and, you think that he might be able to advise me? Semyaza says, surely, because he has concerned himself for 4 months with the earthly financial system. Billy says, hectares, and he thinks that. Semyaza says, you forget that completely different learning opportunities are offered to us. Billy says, oh, of course, I forgot, but I will strive in a good manner and after the best opportunities toward this unpleasant task, even if I completely have to go against the grain. But I would still like to say that I want to form a group within the group, with which I can carry out this work, and I could exercise control over it. My experience tells me that in such things, a certain caution must be taken because only too quickly, one can fall under the suspicion of the earth people that one pushes his finances into their own pockets. Indeed, I already have enough enemies who, only too gladly, would want to slide such machinations into my shoes. Semyaza says, sure, I understand your desire, and it is not so unreasonable. Similar things have already repeatedly been imputed to you by several group members. Billy says, exactly. But despite everything, there will be a problem, namely Osai. I doubt whether her reasoning and her own stubbornness is sufficient for her to understand everything and all of the requirements. If she has already exclaimed that when the Moor had done his duty, it was just so that he could go, then I guess all kinds of things just aren't right in the land of Bohemia anymore. Semyaza says that was very thoughtless and unjust of her, but it can be hoped that she reflects upon her reasoning and sees all things in the right light again and then, accordingly, begins to act correctly. In addition to this, there is something else that the other group members must properly recognize. If one of you can truly find work that can be performed in the center, then furnish your night watch in such a way that alternately per night, 2 group members perform the watch. During that time, however, they should work on reaching the required financial means. For 2 days apiece, the 2 group members should alternate themselves between the watch and the work, before the next 2 members take over this task for the following 2 days. The arrangement of the night watch, then, should be that your wife and Eva divide the watch and the work between themselves, then Jacobus and Madeline, then Elsie and Bernadette, and then Engelbert together with Mary. Also, any possible leisure time should be spent towards the necessary work, otherwise, the required amount will not be acquired. Billy says that's a damn hard route. Semyaza says certainly, but unfortunately, it's unavoidable. Billy says hopefully, we can find suitable work and, moreover, within the required period of time. I'm clumsy with just one hand. Semyaza says you are not to participate in this work because you should finally try to do over again everything that you have neglected to do throughout all of the recent years. That is several times greater and harder work than what is to be performed by the group members as a result of the serious financial situation. Billy says nevertheless, I will also work if the time permits me and if I need a little variety. Semyaza says yes, certainly. You cannot omit that, and you also cannot go without variety, as I know. You can try this, but you cannot neglect the work for the mission any longer. You should promise me this. Billy says I give you my promise. Semyaza says your time will often be lacking for you, however, because you will occasionally be absent from the center. Billy says what do you mean by that? Semyaza says I speak of the fact that during the coming months and years, we will often order you to us and will still have different jobs for you to perform other than just those dealing with moderate instruction work. Billy says, do you mean that I will not